What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about the new map coming to DMZ, some surprises, and even more. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and also let me know in the comments, how many DMZ maps do you think we're going to end up seeing in Modern Warfare 2's life cycle? That's, of course, with the idea that DMZ only gets 1 year of support, which it probably will. I don't think we're going to get a second year of support for this mode, but do you think we have maybe 2 to 3 maps left, or do we have the last one coming here in Season 3 Reloaded? I'm going to guess there's maybe 2 left to go. Leave all your best bets down below. With that being said, there's only a couple days left to take part in the Loot for Good DMZ event for the Call of Duty Endowment. It began on May the 1st and will be ending on May the 7th, depending on when you're watching this video. It's a pretty cool event. I mean, it's for a great cause, and all you have to do is extract with at least $30,000 in cash in 1 match of DMZ. You'll get a calling card for that, and on top of that as well, Activision will make sure that on your behalf, they will donate $1 for every match that you extract $30,000 in, for a max of 10 matches per player, for a total of $10 per player. So with that, I mean, if you guys play a lot of DMZ, you'll probably do this by mistake anyway, but this is a great idea to also incorporate DMZ into more community events like this. Now, something that's been teased for the last couple of weeks is that during our mid-season 3 update, we're going to be seeing something brewing underground in Al Mazrah. I mean, we weren't sure what that exactly meant, but we were predicting that a new point of interest would be added in, and something cool tied to the story of DMZ as well would end up being added during our Reloaded update. But as it says in our recent blog, take the high risk and earn valuable rewards by entering the Koschei complex. We hope you're not afraid of the dark. This follows up on something that I actually asked during the recent creator call for Season 3, in which I was like, hey, Stephanie, are they going to end up doing an NVG, DMZ, LTM, or something of that nature? In which I got a response suggesting that we wouldn't be seeing an LTM featuring NVGs for DMZ, but something else. And right there, I'm like, all right, let's see if we end up getting a map that takes place fully in the dark, or something that gets added into DMZ that requires the use of NVGs, but it's something that's not an LTM of any sort, something that's permanent inside of Al Mazrah or Building 21, Ashika Island, or maybe even a different map entirely. And I think now we're getting to figure out that that's probably what she was referring to in that phone call a couple of weeks ago. Now, as it says here in the Reloaded blog post, go dark in the new in-season DMZ experience, Koschei Complex. Bravo 6 going dark, Captain Price. Somewhere in Al Mazrah, an underground Koschei complex is brewing something that could shift the entire DMZ as we know it. That sentence alone is pretty important, as we'll break down in a second. But then, operators must find a way to locate one of multiple entrances to the subterranean bunker complex, open it, and redacted. Be proactive in adding illumination to your hardware. Flashlights might be needed as you venture further into this redacted. Secure NVGs once you've reconnoitered the redacted, expecting some of the toughest redacted outside of Building 21. That's also further confirmation of our first DMZ NVG type of experience, which is exciting, but then no further intel can be declassified. It will be up to you, the community, to discover the Koschei complex for yourselves once this underground facility is accessible during Season 3 Reloaded. So you probably have a lot of questions about what exactly this means. How will this experience be released? When can you access it? Let's try to break this down in the best way that we possibly can. Now, funny enough, there was another phone call for Season 3 Reloaded between content creators and the studios, but the phone call was primarily focused on Warzone Ranked, which was awesome. We learned quite a bit during that call. I did try to squeeze in some questions about DMZ or even the return of third-person BR, but they weren't able to answer any questions that weren't ranked related, so that's unfortunate. I was hoping to get confirmation that maybe this new Koschei complex is a standalone exclusion zone, or is it just some type of new point of interest for Al Mazrah that they're hyping up a lot because they put a lot of time into it, and there's a big Easter egg centered around it as well. We're going to have to figure that out for ourselves when the mid-season update does end up releasing on May the 10th, or if they're going to pull a Building 21, which is them release this new exclusion zone a couple of days after the launch of the mid-season update. So the way the wording has been handled for Koschei Complex is that it's going to be something that's released in Season 3, not something at the launch window of Season 3 Reloaded, but something later in Season 3. So that tells me this is not going to be something we end up seeing on May the 10th, but of course, I could be misinterpreting that, and maybe they do end up releasing whatever this is on May the 10th overall. If you look back at Building 21, the way that was handled was very, very odd, to where all the marketing and blog posts and tweets suggested that Building 21 was going to be a new area in DMZ. It was never referred to as a new map, but then Season 1 Reloaded rolled around and that map was nowhere to be found, and we were all hopping on Al Mazrah looking for this location, but it wasn't there, of course, because of course it was an exclusion zone separate from Al Mazrah. We just didn't know that, and a couple of hours after the mid-season 1 update released, we got told on Twitter that apparently there was a private phone call for Season 1 in which there was confirmation that Building 21 was going to be released at a later date, and that they didn't want to tell us how to actually access the map. It was, I believe, a couple of days after that mid-season update. It might have been the Monday after the release itself, when we finally got some teasers that, yeah, Building 21 as a new map was going to be available. You could see it at the main menu, and we had to figure out how to actually get a key card to play the map. That's, of course, through finding it on Al Mazrah. We already knew that, but the marketing for that was very odd. We didn't know they were going to delay the release of Building 21 past the launch of Season 1 Reloaded. The same thing might be happening again this time with Koschei Complex, to where it doesn't come out on May 10th, but instead the following week. Now, what's also really confusing are the terms they've been using to describe DMZ maps. So first they called Building 21 an expansion, then an area, then an experience, then an exclusion zone. Finally, they called it a map. And Ashika Island also suffered from similar marketing, where they didn't want to call it a new map either, even though it is. And I'm not sure if that's because they don't want to label Ashika Island as quote-unquote a new map for DMZ when it's technically the same map from Resurgence, but DMZ and Warzone 2 are one and the same to an extent, so I don't see a problem with calling that area a new map for both modes. I mean, Building 21 also is not available in any other mode aside from DMZ. I mean, I hope they add it to Gunfight or Free-For-All one day for regular 6v6 or even just Face-Off, but as of now, the marketing and the terms has been really confusing for the general audience. I know Mr. Dalek made a video about Koschei Complex a few days ago, in which he also referred to Koschei Complex as a new exclusion zone. I mean, he pulled that statement from the COD marketing, so I'm like, okay, exclusion zone has meant new map in the past, doesn't mean the same thing this time. But then the description for Koschei Complex says that it's an area inside of Al Mazrah, so maybe, and just maybe, Koschei Complex does take place in Al Mazrah, underground that is, but it's still a separate map. There's still a possibility it is actually just an underground area inside of Al Mazrah, so we're gonna have to log into that map to find Koschei Complex. It's totally a possibility, right? Koschei Complex could be what we thought Building 21 was going to be, which is just a point of interest update on an existing DMZ map. So it's a bit unfortunate that we don't know exactly what Koschei Complex is. Is it a new map? Is it a point of interest update? But either way, I think it's exciting that we're getting a big update here in Season 3 Reloaded. I think the marketing could be a lot better. I think if they just were to label Building 21 or Koschei Complex as a new map, if they would have done that from the start, that would generate levels of hype that are massive in comparison to just calling it a new point of interest update or an area or an expansion. That would hype people up. I mean, hopefully we get a separate trailer for whatever this is as well, but overall, I think the fact that we've been getting so much support in DMZ since launch is great. I mean, the mode came out with Season 1 in what, mid-November, and then less than a month away from that, we got a new map added to DMZ with Building 21, so we've been getting quite a few healthy updates to it. I mean, like I said before, DMZ feels like a new game or an original game in and of itself. As of Season 3, they've added so much to it that it's almost unrecognizable in comparison to what it was when it first came out a few months ago. So I am hoping that the mode does get 2 years of support, and I would hope for at least 2 more maps for the mode itself, and also giving you more of a reason to play certain maps over others. But funny enough, if you translate Koschei Complex to English, it actually stands for the Immortal Complex. And what do you know? Khaled al-Assad's nickname is the Immortal Lion. And what do you also know? Hadir has been labeled as the new Khaled al-Assad for this Modern Warfare reboot, since he now leads Al-Qatala in place of the Khaled al-Assad that we knew from the original Modern Warfare universe. It's also ironic that over in Vanguard, when they released Khaled al-Assad as a bonus operator for whatever random reason, they used the same character model as Hadir. That might have been unintentional. They might not have wanted us to know that, and maybe it was just them reusing assets to save resources and time. But how ironic is it that now, yeah, we know Hadir is the new leader of Al-Qatala, so in spirit, he is the new Khaled al-Assad. But there was also a Shadow Company patch on his uniform over in Vanguard that might just have been a teaser that Shadow Company was going to feature in Modern Warfare 2, but I do think that now that could mean more than meets the eye. Considering in the raid cutscene, it was said that Hadir wants to go against the Russians, so with that, it's like, alright, if he wants to go against the Russians, so against Makarov's team, and then you also have Shadow Company rolling into the mix, is he somehow working with Shadow Company? Are Al-Qatala and Shadow Company aligned in this post-launch narrative? Would that really make much sense to you guys, or is that a bit confusing? Is there a big plot twist we just don't know about? Maybe this is something that is going to really tie the raids and the DMZ stories together to really bring everything full circle for the end of Modern Warfare 2's life cycle. Now, if you also look at the new Redacted faction, which we're going to all say is just the Shadow Company faction here inside of DMZ, we know that the Redacted faction or Shadow Company really wants access to this underground complex. If that's the case, maybe they aren't really aligned with Al-Qatala and Hadir after all. They want to just kind of break into this area to steal whatever it is that is down there. And tiers 1 through 3 were all about finding this exact location. One of the last missions in Tier 3 was planting tracking devices on the 3 entrances to this underground area, which is why I was thinking, alright, at least story-wise, it makes sense that Koschei Complex is underground in Al Mazrah. In that case, since we know where the locations are and the entrances are to the bunker, then why would that be a separate map like Building 21 is? Maybe it still is, we just don't know, but that has us thinking that, yeah, there's something really sinister going on with the Redacted faction not revealing themselves as Shadow Company yet, and then wanting to find out where this immortal complex truly is. Things are getting really interesting here. But you guys are also probably wondering, what about tiers 4 and 5 for the Redacted faction? As of right now, there hasn't been anything mentioned about that. We were all expecting those 2 tiers to be added in our mid-season 3 update. Maybe they're saving that for season 4, but definitely expect a Warzone and DMZ tactical overview blog to also release in the next few days, and which will probably release more information about what's going on here in our mid-season 3 update. There could be things releasing in this update that just weren't mentioned yet in the current blog post or over on Twitter. I'll keep you guys posted with that one. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on what could be a brand new map coming to DMZ in Season 3 Reloaded? Is it just a point of interest update for Al Mazrah, or is it really a new exclusion zone like Building 21 is? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.